Greetings to everyone present here. Our group, consisting of Anirudh, Bhavesh, Ojas, Pranav, and Vijay, is here to present on the topic of National Resource Efficiency Policy of 2019. Why do we need a resource efficient policy? Because it helps reuse waste material, reduce emissions, create jobs, and ensure social welfare in each stage of the life cycle while augmenting sustainable growth using the 6 R's principle, which are reduce, reuse, refurbish, recycle, remanufacture, and redesign. So, what is the scope of this policy? The intent of this policy is to increase resource efficiency in the usage of vital resources such as water, land and soil, air, fossil fuels, minerals, metals, and biomass across various critical sectors. This is done by assessing the life cycle of products under sectors in their utilization of these resources and applying the 6 R's principle to them. The progress of resource efficiency is tracked by certain established indicators such as resource productivity, domestic material consumption, material extraction, and material input. We can use sector-specific indicators such as primary and secondary material usage and relevant stressors to sectors. And most importantly, indicators regarding the recovery rate of waste and their disposal.
NREA is a regulatory framework for ensuring environmental protection. Its key functions are progress measurement, database formation, standards and guidelines, establishing targets, development of action plans, and an integrated approach. The concerned stakeholders are government, manufacturers, consumers, civil organizations, recyclers, and academia. Policy instruments are the driving forces that will be used to ensure resource efficiency. The most important of these are addressing regulatory gaps, investing in innovation and R&D, making public procurement more localized and green, improving recycling infrastructure, ensuring extended producer responsibility that is EPR, and using resource efficient business models. This is done by setting up 3-year action plans including specific strategies for sectors. The first action plan is from 2019 to 2022. Some of the tasks involved are capacity building, regional strategies, and sectoral strategies. Of these, capacity building is involved with supporting startups and other agencies in development and commercialization of waste exchange platforms.
There are seven major sectors identified in the policy. They are automobile, plastic, construction, electronics, solar, steel, and aluminium. The common concerns plaguing these sectors are most of the scraps are imported, recycling is not regulated and mandatory, recycling is energy intensive, there are not enough closed loop scrap recycling systems, there are EPR issues, standardization or scrap quality is non existent, no certification regarding scrap prices exists, and lack of widespread use of novel technologies. The first sector is automotive sector. Here the definitions of end life of vehicle, that is ELV, is not done in terms of important criteria such as age, mileage and emissions. Collection, depollution, shredding and dismantling centers for recycling, deregistration, segregation of materials and dismantling of vehicles need to be established to help sustain the supply chain. Some of the important targets set by the policy are establishment of above specified sectors in major urban areas by 2020 and increasing recycling rates by 2030.
Next is the plastic packaging sector. The main issue here is that the recycling of plastics is largely informal and unorganized, so large-scale formalization is required. Collection targets need to be set for each quarter and strictly followed through. Introduction of minimum recycled contents can incentivize producers to engage in this formalization. Also, certification schemes can be introduced in circular economy and resource efficiency to appeal to new age consumers. One of the significant targets established is the ban of disposable recycled waste to landfills by 2025.
The next sector is building and construction, developing codes and standards for quality of secondary raw materials to ensure confidence in the product and solve the issue of standardization here. Making public tenders to include codes for locally sourced material can help incentivize sustainable planning in communities. The use of indicator framework and green rating schemes can help judge the environmental impact with more certainty and help mitigate them. The main target set by the policy is that municipalities in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities to start forming inventories of C&D waste data by 2022. Now, aluminum sector. The concern is slag disposal, which is really challenging. Plan is to convert solid waste to value-added products and advertise aluminum scrappage and recycling and create zonal scrap collection, segregation and treatment facilities. Quality standards for recycled aluminum products need to be strengthened in consultation with the bulk consumers. Government has estimated an increased rate of utilization of DROS to 40% by 2025 and 80% by 2030.
The next sector is the electronic sector. One of the major concern is the lack of organized recovery and segregation of critical components. This lead to build up of waste. A possible solution is to introduce deposit refund scheme for e-waste as well as infrastructure development to incentivize formalization by the industries. Also, government funded research should be initiated to prepare standard guides for product design which can make dismantling and recycling easier. Most important target set by the policy is to introduce deterrents and penalties into the waste management rules as this is a critical sector. The next sector is the solar sector. The main concern is the absence of standards for the use of reused products. Also, no manufacturer is mandated to take back used products, which further de-incentivize the manufacturers, and hence there is an urgent need to build critical infrastructure specified to solar recycling. This will lead to collect the data which is lacking for the establishment of cost-effective business model using reverse logistic and dismantling. Financial incentives need to be provided for the promotion of recycling-based startups. Some of the important targets set by the policy are establishment of 4 dismantling sector by 2025 and 8 by 2030. The final sector is the steel sector. The main concern here is the limited technology for reprocessing scrap. So there need to be a heavy investment into the R&D for the new technology to make this feasible. The next big concern is the lack of data to form efficient business models. For this, there are entire incentives for the joint venture which can help generate data while minimizing cost and risk for the company. Import duty can also excise to reduce the import of scrap. The main target set is to reduce the import of scrap to zero by 2030.